times I've tried filming this now. Hello internet, and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. I know it's been a long time. It's been a lot longer than I said it was going to be, isn't it? I've tried filming this segment quite a few times now in that period. Every time I've tried to do it, I've tried to reason why it has taken me so long. And I think the honest answer is just, I don't fucking know. Feels ridiculous. It really does. End of 2020, I was feeling ready to take on a new year, and things were getting better, and we were coming out of lockdown and everything was going to be fine, and there was vaccines coming, there was light at the end of the tunnel, and then bam, another fucking lockdown that we've been in from 4th of January to the 31st of March. Out of all of them, I found this one particularly hard, and I think it's brought up a lot of feelings that I didn't realise I was dealing with, like the fact I'm still grieving for my old life. It feels so ridiculous to say it, because I know that there's so many around the world that have it worse, but God, yeah, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. I went through, obviously, my being made on furlough, being made redundant, changing my job. I'm still learning that new job. I'm having to reorganise my entire just normal routine again, and there just seems to be no stability at all, and I think that's what got to me this time. I think the fact that I just haven't been able to stabilise anything in my life, I just let this bit, the bit I've wanted to do, go to the wayside. I have done nothing at all. That's a lie. That is a lie. I have done a couple of goals of mine. So I've been like eating healthier, I have been doing a little bit more exercise than I would normally, just little things. So I have been doing something, but the big goals that I haven't touched them. Haven't been able to. I have not been able to make myself face those, because I'm still just trying to face normal life at the moment. I now feel better. I even put on some makeup today to try and make myself feel better. Not a lot, but still. But just little things like that. Putting on makeup. I haven't worn makeup since I was in the office in my last job. That was... God, that was like... It was April last year when I was actually in the office in my last job. God, that's mind-blowing. I tell a lie. I have had on makeup since then. I did a photo shoot in the middle of everything, but that was in like underwater. I was literally submerged in chlorine and water, so like there was social distancing didn't even need to be a thing, because I was literally not even in the same room as somebody else. But that was like for a photo shoot. I haven't worn makeup for normal life for months. So this today is kind of a marker for me. Putting on some fucking mascara is a marker for me to be like, yeah, we're finally coming out of this funk. Or at least I hope so. Touch wood and all that. So where do I start? Well, first of all, I need to outline my goals. I need to outline what those kind of goals are going to be, and then from that I'm going to start breaking them down into slightly more manageable chunks, and we'll go through them from there. So let's get started, shall we? Nice shot of my Rocketbook here. If you're like me and you like taking notes on pen and paper, but you also really like the convenience of digital notes as well, I highly recommend one of these books. Possibly the single best purchase of 2020 for me. I use this all the time, and I love being able to just scan my notes in and they go wherever I tell them to. So they can go to my work email, they can go into my Dropbox, they can go wherever I design them to go. Honest to God, this notebook is fantastic, and it should go without saying, no, I am not sponsored by Rocketbook. I just love the damn thing. So for this bit, I'm going to essentially do the beginning part of what's known as a major definite purpose. Now, I don't plan to go in depth in this video about major definite purpose and what they are and why I find that they work. But if it is something that you would want me to explain and do a whole video on, please let me know in the comments and I would be happy to do that. So for the first part here, I need to outline the overarching goal. So for me, that is, I want to have more time for myself and the things that I love and enjoy. That's the kind of main takeaway of all of this. This is the purpose of what I am trying to do, to accomplish. There's a second step to that, which is I want to have a wardrobe that I love, have a better handle on my finances, and be more productive without sacrificing my personal time. Now, all of that does stem into that first overarching kind of goal here. I want to be productive without sacrificing the time that I have, the little amount of time that I have outside of work that is set aside for myself. I am a firm believer in work-life balance. I do not believe that working yourself to death is the way forward in anything in life. You need to have plenty of time for yourself, for recuperation, to do the things you actually want to do. But I also don't like not having a good handle on things. So that's where a lot of this is coming from. I want to be productive, but in a very sustainable way. And that's where a lot of these all kind of slot into place. So there's three main sections here that are going to come out of this. One is finances, one is self-care, and one is productivity. They all kind of coincide with each other, but ultimately they are all part of this one overarching same goal. So now that I know what my big goal is, now I need to start breaking this down into slightly more manageable pieces. So starting with finances. Well, how am I going to have a better handle on my finances? What would give me that? What would give me the peace of mind knowing that I can just look at a glance and be able to tell where I am financially at any given moment? So there's going to be a few bits to this. The first part would be to set up a budgeting system that works. Not just for myself, this would be for my partner as well. Obviously, we share a household, so it would be a budgeting system that works for us. Now, I've tried to do this before, and it's not easy. I know that there's lots of people on YouTube and Instagram, and in fact, any social media, you can find these budgeting gurus who make it look so easy and so simple, and I quite honestly have never quite found a system that's been comprehensive enough for what we wanted and needed. So I want to set up my own, and I know that that's going to take time. Hopefully not too long, but that is the plan. The plan is to set up a budgeting system that works for us and allows us to finally understand where we're bleeding money, as Dave Ramsey would say, because we are. Somewhere we do spend more money than we would like, and I personally reckon that's food, because we are massive foodies. So we just want a better handle on what we're doing with our money. Second step to that is eradicate our debt. Now, you'll notice that I've put debt in marks there, and there's a reason for that. it's because I don't classify our debt as a major debt. It is still debt. By all accounts and purposes, it is debt. However, I need to be honest in saying that we are not going to turn around at any point and be saying to you that we have, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 in debt, or that we've got student loans to pay off, or anything like that, because we don't. The car that we have, we bought in cash. Neither of us have any student loans of any sort to worry about. We don't have massive debts. Most of our debt, unfortunately, comes from my overdraft, and that was due to some unfortunate and unseen circumstances a couple of years ago, which we are still working through. So that's our big debt that I want to get rid of. That I want to finally overstep that mark and just get out of that little pothole in our finances. Second part to that is we want some money in our account. Some people call this an emergency fund. I know it as a buffer. So we would like to have £1,000 of a buffer in our account. And ultimately, that will then lead us to being able to save money, which, I mean, let's face it, that's pretty much everybody's goal, isn't it? Being able to save some money. So those 4 steps there are kind of breaking down the financial part of this a little bit more, just so that we can see an actual plan for those goals. It's not just I want to be better with my finances. There's actual actionable plans for these things, and we're going to go through every step in turn the same way. So next one is self-care. So for the first one here, I want have a smaller but better quality wardrobe. Now you will see throughout all of this self-care thing, again, a very similar theme, and that theme is consumerism. I want to do better with how I consume my goods. I do not expect to have anything perfect in a year or even 2 or maybe even 5, but in the last, I'd say, few years, I have become very aware of myself as a consumer and my buying habits. And while I don't say at all that I am somebody that goes out and buys things flippantly or, terribly, we are people that, if we needed a shirt for work, we would go to somewhere like Primark. We would go somewhere cheap. We would go somewhere quick and easy. And I want to break that cycle. I want to start getting better quality items that look better, that behave better, that are better for hopefully the environment and sustainability and the human element of that as well. We don't want to be feeding into that horrible dark side of fast fashion anymore. So smaller but better quality wardrobe. I want to have items that I truly love and use often. I'm sure I'm not the only person that can say this, but I've got a wardrobe full of stuff that I just quite honestly do not wear. I've got so many items that they just sit there. They sit there and they look pretty, and I want to change that. I want to, if I don't wear it, I want it gone. I want everything in my wardrobe to work with everything else. I want to replace old or costume jewellery with better high quality items. Again, this feeds into the consumerism part. I love jewellery. I really do. I've got quite a few piercings as well, as you may have noticed from the videos. So I do like my quality jewellery, but I've never really allowed myself to go out and buy quality jewellery. And I want to change that. I want to stop buying costume jewellery. I don't want to be putting nickel plated items near my body, because it's not good for you. I want to get better quality items and hopefully support some upcoming jewellers in the process. I want to have a better skincare routine. Now, I do have a skincare routine. It is very basic, don't get me wrong, but I do have one. But again, I want to buy better items. I want to get better products that do a better job, so that I'm not having to constantly refill excessively with subpar products. And that also stems into, I want to replace old makeup with better quality items. I don't wear a lot of makeup, so the few items that I do have are either very old or just very basic. It would be nice to have, the few items that I do use to be really good, high quality, and not just be good but do good as well. And then last step is productivity. So I want to get into routines and habits to minimize workload. I know myself well enough to know that I suffer with mental fatigue. I can very easily be overwhelmed, and getting into habits that then can be almost autopiloted by my body are fantastic for me. So I want to get into good routines and good habits that mean that I don't have to constantly think about them all the time. I want to automate where possible. If there's something that I can do that doesn't require quite as much effort as I'm currently putting in, absolutely, I want to better that. I want to streamline my workload, and that works for both my personal life and my professional life. I want to automate and make things easy for myself. I want all things in my life to be functional and work as intended. If it's broken, it's gotta go. And quite honestly, I want to keep the house tidier and cleaner. And hopefully that will lead me to be a happy bunny. So this is the plan. This is the goal. This is the overarching premise of this channel. So hopefully you will join me, and I will see you in the next one.